Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons.
And I'm Mason Rothman.
So we're in this episode. We're going to talk about a couple things. First, like I said last time, I went out and found some pretty good fire map resources, like we talked about, before.
This is in regard to the Amazon fires.
The Amazon fires.
Right.
So I wanted to show some better, data visualizations to give a more accurate picture of what's really going on. Because, there's been a lot of maps thrown around, and I've looked at fire data before, and I know the hard part is trying to interpret the data source. Usually comes from a combination of VIIRS and MODIS. And by the way, in a future episode, I want to go into more detail about those sensor types and what they're truly capable of.
Right.
But I think the problem is a lot of folks misinterpret those data sources a little bit and feel like the world is on fire, which it really isn't.
Right.
But looking through the data, you can actually see common trends and how often fires occur in certain areas, and what actually is a fire and what isn't. Because I think if people just grab the raw data source, they think everything's on fire, which is not the case.
Right. So all the IR spots are showing up as hot spots, even if there's something stationary.
Right. So it could actually be a facility or some kind of production facility that's emitting some type of IR signature. And I say IR signature, not necessarily fire, because infrared actually detects more than just fires themselves. Can be, and I hate using the word heat, because heat has some overlap with infrared, but infrared energy, you can see a lot more than just, fire or heat or, that type of thing. It's hard to explain. I want to get a different conversation and in a future episode about that. But anyway, we want to show some more fire maps.
Right.
And you want to talk about, what do you want to talk about this episode?
We're going to talk about that little mishap that happened in Iran that some of you folks might have heard about on the news, a little explosion.
Right on. Okay, so let's get into the first fire map. So the first thing I found on the list, which I love, is the New York Times. The first thing I want to talk about. The New York Times always comes up with some awesome graphics of where they report. So in this case, they do a couple things. One, they're showing the extent of the existing fires within August. Obviously, this is actually a lot. So they reduced the actual pixel size of the fires, the actual fire locations. So it's not exaggerated. So you can actually see where the fire locations are. And I can tell where they got this data. They also got it from specifically NASA. And so NASA's got a lot of those, and I'll show you where that information is down the road. But
that's a great visualization.
Absolutely. And now what's even more interesting here is you can see how it correlates. A lot of these fires correlate with the deforestation going on through 2018, especially up this corridor here during this through the central Amazon here. So you can see how it does directly relate to some of the deforestation going on, but there's also other graphics to indicate the trends of the wildfires going on from year to year.
This is a prime example of open data, and what you choose to do with it has a huge impact.
Yeah.
Right? Versus just throwing it all out there, like you were saying, seeing it, the world's on fire. But versus, actually breaking it down, and it's simple, but it's necessary.
Now, I like this graphic here, and that shows the actual vector data of month by month of the fires of the Amazon, but year by year, going all the way back to 2000 and 2001.
Wow.
So if you actually look at the month of August, you can see a trend here. Sometimes it's probably worse than others, and we can, if we actually extracted the data set specifically, we can see what areas are stronger. But you can see there's actually a common trend of the intensity of fires going back all the way for 10 years. That's not to say that obviously deforestation is a huge problem in the Amazon, but I want to indicate this is not a new problem. That's what I'm trying to
highlight. It's not.
This is not a new problem.
No,
this has happened year after year in the Amazon in this time of year.
Right. And it's funny too, because for years we've been when we talk about the Amazon, what do people think of? They thought of deforestation and, the use of paper, et cetera, and how bad we are.
Well, it is a big issue. So you look at the deforestation in the Amazon, look at all the yellow, it's nuts.
Right. And now we have another major player who actually people should be talking about. So this is very relevant that this is brought to these fires that are going on right now is very relevant, right?
So the other thing that the next map I want to talk about is this is a lot of where some of this data can be visualized from the data sources from NASA and NOAA is the fire information for resource management. So I like this for several reasons. Let me see if I can actually bring up the active wildfire data here. So what I did was actually reduce the pixel size. You can kind of see the pattern here in the areas, and you can zoom in and get an idea where they're at.
For their mapping engine back there? Or?
I had to look up in more detail about about this system.
Yeah.
But what I like about this is it does show you can reduce the pixel size so it doesn't exaggerate everything. So if I jumped all the way up to like 10, for example, you see how big this stuff is? And I have seen maps online to show, oh man, the whole Amazon's freaking on fire, right?
Now, how much do you want to exaggerate it? Well, it's like that with terrain, though, with when people do 3D models of terrain and they exaggerate
That's not to say these fires aren't a big problem. Right. So I think, let's see if I can find this real quick. I thought somewhere down further in the New York Times article, there's another graphic I liked. Nope, it's not in this one. There's another graphic that I liked that actually showed, in comparison, the size of the United States compared to the Amazon, the northern South America there. And
with true map scale.
Right. So basically, the entire Amazon rainforest is pretty much the extent of the United States.
So if you did this overlay on the United States, if all this was burning right now,
it'd pretty much be the entire United States.
What would that be on the news? You think at all, Adam?
But
yeah,
map scale. Now, with that said, it does highlight the level of deforestation going on. So I do like this. This is a good, and we'll post this resource out in our notes because I do like this. It gives you a chance to explore the daytime, nighttime thermal emissions coming off of these sensors. Now, you have to understand what these sensors can do and what they're capable of. I know this highlights fires. And you can change this to fire radioactive power and confidence. It's important to actually know what these sensors are capable of because you could also be detecting a lot more than just fire activity if you're going to other parts of the world.
The U.S. is on fire too.
Yeah. So we can dive into those areas and look at other imagery in correlation to that to figure out, hey, what's actually going on there? But I guarantee you most of these areas are not actually on fire, at least a lot of these little dots here, and this is not actual fire.
Oh, no.
Now you might have fires associated with facilities, but you have to, once again, you have to understand what this data is capable of viewing. Amazon, this is definitely fire activity, and you also have fire activity associated with Africa. And by the way, this is it lights up, but this is not uncommon for this area of Africa this time of year. And there's a lot of articles about why this is the case, and not all of it is, man-made.
Wow.
So let's go to another fire map. And I just kind of wanted to highlight this here for a second. This is another run by Earth Observatory and NASA. And so I'm just going to play this for a second. So you can kind of get, this is just plays this kind of the same data set over the course of 10 years. And you can get a view of the thermal emissions going on. I like this one a little bit more because I think they've extracted and filtered a lot of the data that's associated with other than fire activity from this one. So I think this one's a lot more accurate to fire-based activity. For the most part, I see a few areas I'd like to question a little bit. But at least let's just focus on the Amazon for now. So if I skip ahead, because I don't want to dwell on this entirely for 10 years, so slowly move the time slider a little bit faster. And they don't have August of 2019, so they don't have this month's stuff. But it kind of goes quiet until we get to, when we get to June, a little bit quieter, starts to spur up a little bit. But, you can see that, the whole area kind of breathes to go through these cycles. And I just want to prove this stuff has happened before, and it has happened consistently over the last 10 years.
So that should be built into a model.
It should.
Right. This isn't something new. This isn't an alert. This is something that occurs on a annual basis, a regular basis, et cetera.
Absolutely. So what was
so then you could actually exploit at that point abnormalities. You build it into your model, and you'd say, hey, whenever this threshold hits, then
I think there's a lot of work to still be done with with IR data and extracting what is a fire, what isn't.
Right.
But also better visualizations related to trends over time.
Okay.
So that you're not just exaggerating a problem that's already serious, but you also want to make sure that people understand properly what's going on, so that they believe you. They actually see truth in your data,
Mm-hmm.
and they believe you going forward. If they all of a sudden start questioning it because they think you're exaggerating all the time, I think you're going to lose faith in your cause. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, look at news companies that do that, right?
Right. So, but good news is there's truth in data, and there's
Yeah.
also truth in validating that data through imagery analysis, through the geospatial technology, which is, our bread and butter of the industry.
Sure, exactly.
And that's the best part. We see actually what's going on down there, and we can validate something that's going on in a data set with another data set or with another sensor type.
Right.
And we can validate what's going on there. And we have enough data going on identifying facilities around the world or other man-made activity to validate, hey, is this data associated with wildfires or even something else? Now,
Right.
And once again, that's referring to not just the rainforest, but worldwide IR activity. So.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I wanted to touch on I was going to say it at the beginning, but I'll throw it in here at the end about Amazon is, I've been getting Amazon Fire alerts because of my Google daily email alerts that I have set up for notifications. And because I follow certain companies, including Google, Apple, and Amazon.
Oh, okay.
So I get daily updates on the fires as well as the stock updates and company updates.
So as opposed to me, where I'm actually tracking actual prices data, you're just tracking Amazon.
Well, I wonder how many other people are like me
company.
though and have those Google alerts set up for Amazon, and they're being notified because of that, actually by name association of all things. But anyhow, just thought I'd throw that out there as a fun factoid. But use those Google daily alerts. They're great to keep up on things that you want a daily notification, something that's hot, or maybe a stock you follow or a company that you're interested in, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. So as more maps come up, we'll post them here and there as they become relevant. But I do want to get at some point involved into discussing the true capabilities of MODIS and VIIRS, and if we can find a guest speaker that we can kind of
that would be really
awesome.
Nice, actually.
But once
reach
again,
out if you know anybody that's.
I've mentioned those two birds in the past quite a bit, and I think they're worth having a conversation about.
Sure, without a doubt.
So what's our next topic?
We're going to talk real briefly about Simnon today in Iran and the explosion, the incident happened there yesterday. This isn't the first incident that's happened there. There's some pretty sweet imagery though that was collected that actually breaks down what's going on here. And the imagery shows orange reddish fumes on the pad, probably, and this is from the tweet from Observer. It's dinitrogen tetroxide. I don't know my. You can tell that's not me. But incident might have occurred at startup while attempting to reach pressure temp. Of course, yeah. But like I said, this isn't the first. This is another thing that you could build into a model. Remember, I was just talking about models. How often does something occur where they try to launch something, or they actually try to do their Just like, I mean, I know it's probably pretty bad OPSEC, but you could do it on the United States with their training schedule, et cetera. You could look at, when they go do things, when's the annual thing, like the Navy does, like the whatever does. But anyhow, so this explosion was.
You can see here in the Twitter the graphic that we have up as well.
Yeah, you can scroll if you scroll down a little further in that tweet too. They do a really nice close up actually of the pad, where it's the orange plume well separated from the rocket, and black plume, right there, not due to wind. It seems that a leak occurred from the rocket to the side of the pad, according to watermarks. The pad is convex, and the slope drained liquid to the side. So somebody really did some awesome imagery analysis there at the end of the day. This is what you can get from the open source community, OSINT, when you put this out here. I believe the image source is actually planted on this.
Okay, I was wondering about that because it's impressive. They were able to catch this.
I believe it was. I'm pretty sure that I read that it was planted yesterday.
But they do what, daily to multi-day revisit rate. So it's understandable then.
At this point, you're going to catch. There's so much going on in our world these days.
Well, they're painting the world daily, if not multiple times.
Right,
a day.
because they got that North Korea almost the launch. Remember that one not too long ago? That was a beautiful one where they had the plume going from that. That was So this stuff they catch on a regular basis, and there's so many places they should have this built into their models that they should, and I'm sure they do for their imaging models on when they cover the world with with these places on a regular basis do this. But go ahead.
So what was on this? What was important about this satellite specifically? Do you remember what the?
No, I don't remember exactly the specific. But it was more of they're just another one of their failed attempts at this, and something that we need to look at honestly whenever we talk about the Iranians and what a threat that they pose and how long this has been going on. They're still in ooga booga primitive stages compared to a lot of other countries, including ourselves and Russia, China, and whatnot. But it's so far behind. But the main focus that we need to look back on is their nuclear program at the end of the day, because that's the one that where you can be very, very dangerous at. But that's still somewhat in a primitive stage too at this point. So it'll be interesting to watch at this point. But there's no way, and there's been some recent political talk of this recently, but there's no way that Iran's ever going to have nuclear capability. That it's just not going to happen.
All right. Well, that's an interesting topic. So what do we have coming up soon? So the one thing that we will try to cover, I think Mason and I are trying to go down to St. Louis in October.
Yeah, go over to St. Louis. Yeah.
Well, what's that event called for USGF now? It used to be, it's called Gateway.
I know, yeah.
Gateway West. We should actually get this right.
I know. Well, no, you threw in what we got coming up, and I was like, well, we got a lot of stuff coming up. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so it is called, because I am horrible with this at the moment, the Gateway Geospatial Gateway Forum. Sorry, it used to be called I thought something on West. It's basically like a minor halfway mark between GeoInts.
Yep.
So the Geospatial Gateway Forum by USGAF is from October 7th through 9th in St. Louis. And we definitely plan there to attend. And since we got a nice coverage of the St. Louis folks, we hope to see and catch up with some of those folks down there and see how they're doing.
To catch up with the St. Louis
and the local geospatial community and businesses and see what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. And I've got some old family out there because I was born in the state of Missouri. So yes.
So formerly Tech Showcase West. That's what I was trying to think of.
Oh, that's it. Yep, you nailed it. So October 7th through 9th, we'll see you there, guys. If you're going to be there, reach out to us. Otherwise, we'll be reaching out to some folks as well and try to get some interesting folks on.
Yeah, we'll try to get some more live coverage this time, because we keep on doing archive footage or just recording and then posting after the fact.
Yeah, if we can pull together the backpack, that would be amazing.
Maybe we got to get better at mobile broadcasting here.
Mobile broadcasting, that's right.
With the phones or whatever these days.
Catch us live action. We're so much fun in live action.
Right. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Appreciate it, and we'll have some more material in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we definitely will. Well, thanks, Adam. That was a lot of fun talking about all those topics today, and we'll reach out to you guys soon. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Thanks.